For North Carolina Governor Josh Stein spending his first full day in office in western North Carolina, focusing on efforts to recover from Hurricane Helene. Stein announced a series of new actions he's taking to help those still reeling from the storm, and there are many. WBTV's chief investigative reporter Nick Oxner was with Stein today. He's breaking down the new action from Swannanoa.
North Carolina's new governor, Josh Stein, spent his first full day in office in western North Carolina, holding a press conference attended by a bipartisan group of leaders from across the state to announce 5 new executive orders, all aimed at helping speed recovery from Hurricane Helene. The executive orders do the following: make it easier for the state to buy temporary housing using federal dollars, direct state emergency management officials to begin the process of rebuilding private roads and bridges, creates a new office within the governor's office focused on western North Carolina recovery, formalizes a bipartisan committee of leaders advising on Hurricane Helene recovery efforts, and directing the state personnel office to authorize additional leave for state employees to volunteer on hurricane recovery projects. Stein said each of these recommendations came in part from the bipartisan advisory committee that's been working with him to identify issues as western North Carolina continues to recover from the storm. That committee has Democratic and Republican co-chairs. Stein said it was intentional that he held his first public event as governor in the western part of the state focused on hurricane recovery because it's his #1 priority.
The needs facing this region are vast and require immediate attention. Getting people back in their homes as quickly as possible is our most important job.
One other significant development to come out of Thursday's press conference with the new governor is that the North Carolina Office of Recovery and Resiliency, known as NCORE, will not be involved in the relief efforts here in western North Carolina from Hurricane Helene. NCORE has been under fire for years. Most recently in December, when I uncovered it, had ordered contractors to stop work building new houses for those families still homeless after Hurricanes Matthew and Florence that hit nearly a decade ago. Instead, Stein says he will create a new agency within the Department of Commerce. For now, reporting in Buncombe County, Nick Oxner, WBTV, on your side.